I've booked thousands of meetings with Cold Call, and 90% of them started with an objection. Here is the truth. It's never new objection, and it's the same 9 over and over again. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to handle each one, what they really mean, and the exact sentence to say back so you can turn objections into book meetings. If you fix objections number 3 and number 5, you will definitely book more meetings this week. So let's get into it. When someone says, I'm not interested, that's not a decision, it's a reflex. So they were just not expecting your calls. So don't push back and lower their guard. And say this. Totally fair. You probably get a ton of those calls, and I'm guessing you got most of this handled already. And then you follow up with, quick one so nobody from my team bugs you again. Is it that you already know what we do and it's not a priority right now for you? Or did I just catch you at the worst time possible and you're not a fan of cold calls? So now you put them in a position when they are thinking instead of shutting you down. This one is my favorite objection from far. I love when prospects ask me, how did you get my number? I used to be defensive when hearing this, and now I know exactly what I do. I just question them back. And I just said, your mobile number is public. And sometimes I specify that I've used a tool like Scalelist to find them. And that's it. And after that, my objective is to keep the prospect engaged by asking questions. And this is why I would say, in my case, because I sell mobile numbers and emails, I would say, hey, prospect, out of curiosity, how does your team find contact info today? And by questioning them back, you flip the entire conversation. And if they mention they do anything manual, I follow it. So you're doing that manually, right? Question number 1. How long does that take per contact? Question number 2. And what I do here is I'm diagnosing a problem related to the solution I'm solving, which is providing the best mobile numbers and emails to B2B companies. One last tip is the person in charge of asking the questions is actually in control of the conversation. So asking questions is not a problem. It's actually the best way to understand everything about your prospect and keep controlling the chat with your prospect. If you want to know also how to enrich databases with the best B2B emails and mobile number, check out this video right here. This one is a tough one because when my prospect says it's not a priority right now, they're not saying no. They're saying they don't see a reason to change and keep talking. So I don't argue, and I make them explain their process by asking these questions. And yes, we always go back to asking questions. Hey, prospect, just so I don't miss anything, can you quickly walk me through how you handle this process today? Then zoom in. How long does that take per week? Blah, blah, blah. Once they hear themselves saying it, you finish with, you mind if I make a quick suggestion? And that's where the conversation shifts. Of course, you might make sure that they don't hang up before you ask those 3 questions. But if you're able to ask those 3 questions, you're going to get a lot more information about their current process. And in the end, asking for like a meeting, 15 minutes meeting with them or the right decision maker, if possible. Back in the days, objecting 4, which is the one we are going to talk about, was the hardest one for me to deal with. It was when a prospect says, we don't have budget or it's too expensive. And it's kind of tricky to answer that because one thing that I've learned over the past 10 years in sales is it's rarely about money. It's usually about priorities. Again, we're going to ask questions to overcome this objection. And the first question I would ask is budget completely off this cycle? Or is it just that any new spend needs approvals? They might say, Q1 budget is spent already, so come back in April. And in that case, it's his budget is tight. So I usually ask, do you feel what you're spending today to solve ABC problem is actually solving ABC problem? They might hesitate, not being 100% sure. So when I feel the call is not moving anywhere, I remove pressure on my prospect shoulders by saying, no worries. If budget opens later, would it help to see how it works now so you've got a plan ready? And this is my way of saying, let's book a call ASAP. to build a relationship. So when the time comes, you are more willing to choose me. And that's how I deal urgency and transform a we don't have a budget in a meeting in my calendar. This one is actually complex, but very interesting. It's when a prospect says to me, that's not my responsibility, or I am not the right person. Most salespeople tend to give up and hang up the phone. What I do is the opposite. I dig and I don't hand the call. And I ask this question, would you be against sharing who is the right person? They might say no. And in that case, I would have to search a little bit longer. But if they say yes, it's Sarah Brentwood, then I ask, okay, great. Thanks for sharing. When I reach out to Sarah, do you mind if I mention we spoke? Usually they should be all right with that. And when I feel that the connection with my prospect is good and I don't have Sarah's details on hand, I would just ask the person I'm on the phone with, hey, last question, John. Would you be against sharing Sarah's mobile with me? And if they say yes, I won't, and I save a bit of time. And I can say to Sarah, hey, John gave me your number, which is true. And if John says no to me, it's all right. I will just use Scalelist to find Sarah's number. Objection number 6 is the one I hate the most. And the prospect says, I need to talk to my boss. I used to think it was resistance from the prospect, but it's not. It's just uncertainty. And this is what I would say to overcome these objections. Totally makes sense, Jones. Since we are already here, what specifically do you need to think through? So I need to keep in mind that my objective remains booking a call with the boss, now that I know that John doesn't decide anything. So I need John to help me get his boss on the call without offending him. And my objective is to make it easy for John and still shows that he's part of the convo, even if he doesn't decide. So I would say something like this. Do you think we can schedule a quick call with your boss so I can answer questions directly instead of you having to explain everything to them? In that case, I'm asking for a call with 3 people. We don't bypass John, and the call goes well, and it actually makes sense for John's company. John is scoring points for his next promotion, for example. The questions I use to overcome objection 7 work 99% of the time. So imagine a prospect says to you, I'm too busy. It's just about timing and is typically not rejecting you as a person. So what I would answer to this is, perfect, I'm very busy too, which actually show the prospect that they are not the only one who are busy. And then you say, I just need 30 seconds to tell you why I called. And if it's not relevant, I will let you go. Is that fair? If the prospect says yes, of course I go ahead. But if the prospect is not open, I say, okay, no problem. I understand you are busy. So would you be against picking a time so you can expect my call? What about taking 10 minutes at 2 p.m. tomorrow? By framing it that way, first, you don't take a I'm too busy for an answer. And second, you make sure that you still find a way to get to your goal, which is booking a meeting with that prospect. Objection 8 is super common. It used to drive me crazy when hearing it. And it's when a prospect says, send me an email. And in that case, it doesn't always mean they want an email. Actually, 90% of the time, it's just a polite brush off. So I'm going to give you 3 options to handle it. Option number 1. Yeah, happy to send you an email. What's the one thing you would want that email to cover? That question shows that I want to send something tailored to their needs. Second option. I will send it. And I will also drop a 5-minute placeholder for tomorrow. If it's useful, we use it. If not, just decline it. Are you okay with that, prospect? This shows my determination. I never plan to give it on this prospect anyway. Third option. Can I be honest, prospect? Do you actually read cold emails? I don't want this to disappear. So if you don't mind giving me 10 minutes, and if it's not relevant, I'm gone. It's direct, but honest. And it shows you don't want to waste your time and their time. It's probably one of the most complex objections to deal with. It's when a prospect says, we already have a solution. Most salespeople hate that answer. They end up disappointed and they just feel hanging up. I found that it's actually a good sign because it means the prospect care about the problem. And my job now becomes to find that one gap. So I asked the following question. Hey, prospect, I totally get it. Quick question. What's the one part that still feels messy even with what you're currently using today? I get the prospect answer, and based on that, I can land this question softly. I understand you're not planning to switch tomorrow, right? Would you be against having a quick look at what we have just to know what's possible? And by asking that question, I'm giving options to the prospect. And to be very honest, who doesn't like having options? Those are the 9 objections you will hear forever and exactly what to select. For your information, objections on rejection, they are the moment when your prospect starts thinking. So use the 9 I gave you, test them, steal them. And if you want the next part of the playbook on how to find mobile numbers for free on LinkedIn, just click here. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.